Rate of change, or also known as slope, is the same thing as the change in y over change in x. So sometimes you read, this is triangle means delta, delta means change. So it's the change in the dependent variable divided by the change in the independent variable. So to find the rate of change or slope from a table, what you want to do is see what are you doing with the x. So x, we're going down 2, down 2, down 2. And with the y, we're going up 3, up 3, up 3. So this is a linear function because the change in y and the change in x are the same. It's just constant. So this is a constant function, which is called the linear function. So right here, if I'm adding 3, then my y is going to be positive 3 and my x is going to be negative 2. Because it's change in y over change in x. So this is going to reduce to negative 3/2. So you can either put the negative in the numerator, the denominator, in the middle. It's the same thing. You can also use or find the rate of change with the table. And now this, if there's units on it, like here are units, there's no units right here, then you should answer in units. So this I'm going up 1, up 1, up 1, up 1. Here I'm going up 1200 every time. So it's going to be 1200 divided by 1, but I don't need to write 1200 divided by 1 because that's just 1200. So it's 1200 cars, because that's my numerator, that's the y, per hour. Or you could also write it cars divided by hour. So for this one, I'm going up 1, up 1, up 1, up 1. So my change in x is 1, but my change in y is 12. So it's 12, but it says speed. I don't have a unit, so 12 units per time. That's kind of awkward because really each of these should have units. So speed per time. And then right here, I'm going up 1, up 1, up 1, and I'm not changing right here. 0, 0, 0. So if the slope is change in y over change in x, then 0 divided by 1 is just 0. So the slope is 0. From ordered pairs, you can use a formula. So this is y sub 2 minus y sub 1. So this sub 2 means the second y coordinate. So if I label this x1, y1, x2, y2, I'm going to do y sub 2, which is negative 6, minus y sub 1, which is negative 3, over x2 minus x1. So this reduces to, these two negatives make a positive, so this is going to be negative 3 over 3, but you always want to reduce your slope, so this is negative 1. Now, with slope, it doesn't matter if you went y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2, or y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. It doesn't make a difference. So for the next one, I'm going to use y1 minus y2. As long as I do y1 first, I have to do x1 first. So I label this x1, y1, x2, y2. So I do negative 2 minus 2 over 1 minus 3. So this is negative 4 over negative 2. So you want to reduce that to positive 2 because a negative divided by negative is a positive. x1, x1, y1, x2, y2. So I can do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So it's 0 over negative 2, which is 0. If you 0 on the top, it's 0. And then 6 minus 2 over negative 5 minus a negative 5. So it's going to be 4 over 0. So 4 divided by 0, you cannot divide by 0. So it's undefined, or we also call it no slope. So there's zero slope and there's no slope. No slope means that you can't even do the slope of it. So one way to remember the differences is Mr. Slope Guy. So Mr. Slope Guy has a nose like this. So this is a vertical line. And the vertical line is undefined. And undefined starts with a U. Undefined. And his mouth is a horizontal. And he has got a tongue sticking out. So a horizontal line has a slope of 0. And then if a line goes up from left to right, it's positive slope. And if it goes down from left to right, it's negative slope. So this is called Mr. Slope Guy. You can also think about a line being vertical as undefined, because a skateboarder has a hard time keeping their wheels up and down if they're going vertical, or wheels on the ramp, so it's undefined, but you can skateboard side to side. So that's a slope of 0. So if slope is change in y over change in x, you are changing with the y, but you're not changing the x, so that's why the line is vertical. You're dividing by 0. So if now I'm going to look at whether the slope is positive or negative, and then I'm going to actually find the slope. So the slope right here is positive because it's going up from left to right. Then I'm going to do what's called the slope triangle. So the slope triangle is find 2 points that are on the line that are intersecting the grid marks. So they already marked right here, so I'm going to make a triangle. I can also make a right triangle and go this way. It doesn't matter. But either way, up and down is change in y. And side to side, reading from left to right, is change in x. So up and down, my change in y is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units. So my slope is 5 over 1, 2, 3, 3 units. So 5/3 is my slope. And it's positive because it's going up from left to right. And this one I know is going down from left to right, so I'm going to make my slope triangle. So here's my triangle. So up and down from left to right, I'm going down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units. I'm going down 6. And I'm going right 1, 2, 3. So I don't want to leave it as down or negative 6 over 3. I actually want to leave it as negative 2. And next one, I'm going to make my slope triangle. So I'm going up 1, 2, 3, and I'm going right 1. So that's 3 divided by 1, but I want to write it as 3. And the next one, I'm going to make my slope triangle down 2, right 3, 1, 2, 3. So the slope is negative 2/3. It's negative because it's going down from left to right. You can also find the slope of a line in slope-intercept form. So this is slope-intercept form. You did it in 7th and 8th grade. This m, the number in front of x, is the slope. And this b is the y-intercept. So in order to find the slope, you want to have it written in slope-intercept form. So this one actually is y equals negative 2x plus 5. So the slope is the coefficient of x. So m equals negative 2. B, the equation y equals 1/4 x plus 3. The slope is the coefficient of x. So the slope is 1/4. And then C, find the slope. The slope is the coefficient of x. So the slope is 1. There's a 1 in front of there. So m equals 1 is the answer. And D, there is not a slope. There's not an x value. So if there's not an x value, I could write plus 0x. In that case, it's going to be 0. So down here, find the rate of change and explain what it means. So remember, rate of change is the same thing as slope. So I'm going to make my slope triangle right here. So I'm going to go up 4, right 20. So don't be careful not just to count the boxes. Don't go up 2, right 2. You actually have to look at the units. So it's up 4, right 20. So I want to reduce that, and I want to make sure I write units. So it's 1/5, but to write it in units, it's 1 mile per 5 seconds. So each of these has a unit, my miles and my seconds. And then find the slope of the line. So it is the slope. I could pick 2 points that are on the grid marks. So I'm going up 0 over 3. So up 0 over 3. So the slope is 0. Or you could have known that a horizontal line, the slope is 0. So another way to do it, or memorize it, is horizontal has a 0 in it, or has a z in it. And this slope is vertical, so if you pick 2 points on here, change in y is 3 divided by change in x is 0, so that's undefined. So a vertical line is undefined. Or 0 under is undefined. 0 under is undefined.